Joan of Arc. You know the name, right? She's one of those figures from history who feels larger than life. I mean, the story is just incredible. A peasant teenager who leads an army, crowns a king, gets burned at the stake as a witch, and then, centuries later, becomes a saint. So, let's get into it. Let's unravel the real story.
Okay, so this is probably the image you have in your head, right? The noble warrior in shining armor. But here's the thing, this was painted hundreds of years after she died. The real Joan was a young woman from a tiny village who, in just a couple of years, completely changed the course of a war. And then she was executed when she was only about 19 years old. And that really is the heart of it all. That's the big question. How on earth did an illiterate teenage girl from the middle of nowhere become a military commander, save her country, and eventually become a saint? It sounds like something out of a movie, but it actually happened.
To even begin to understand her story, you have to understand the world she was born into. And let me tell you, it was a world of war, of desperation, and a world that was basically waiting for a miracle.
So, let's set the scene. France in 1429 was an absolute mess. The 100 Years' War had been dragging on forever. As you can see from this map, the English and their allies, the Burgundians, they controlled huge parts of the country, including Paris. The French heir to the throne, a guy called the Dauphin Charles, was basically cornered. His entire kingdom was about to just collapse.
And right into this chaos steps Joan. She's born in a little village, a total nobody from a peasant family. But then, when she's 13, she says she starts hearing voices and seeing visions of saints. And these voices, they gave her a really specific mission, a totally unbelievable one: kick the English out of France and get the Dauphin crowned king. And here's the really crucial part. Her story fit perfectly with an old prophecy that a virgin would be the one to save France.
Now check this out. This little sketch is the only image of Joan we have that was made while she was actually alive. It was doodled in the margins of a document by some clerk who'd only heard about her. It's a million miles away from those grand, epic paintings, but it's so much more powerful, isn't it? It reminds you that there was a real teenager at the center of this whole legend. So after somehow convincing a local commander and then the Dauphin himself that her mission was for real, they gave her a shot. And what happened next? Well, it was basically a miracle. The speed of what she accomplished is just staggering. I mean, look at this timeline. In April of 1429, she shows up at the city of Orléans, which was about to fall to the English. By July, that's only 3 months later, she'd not only saved the city, but she had won battle after battle and cleared the way for Charles to be officially crowned King Charles VII. Insane! Just think about that first victory. 9 days. The English had been choking the life out of Orléans for months. The French army was demoralized, totally defeated. Joan's real magic wasn't that she was some brilliant military strategist. It was her ability to inspire people. She made them believe that God was on their side. She got them to attack with a passion they hadn't felt in years. And boom! 9 days later, the English were gone. It was an absolute game changer. And this right here, this was the absolute peak. Picture it, Joan, standing right there next to the new King of France, holding her banner. She had done the impossible. She had fulfilled the promise her voices had given her. She was the hero of France.
But you knew there had to be a but, right? Her story takes a very, very dark turn. And just as fast as she rose, she fell. From the top of the world to an enemy prison and a trial for her life. So what happened? First, a failed attack on Paris made her look a little less invincible. Then, in May of 1430, she was captured in battle by Burgundian soldiers, who were French, by the way, but they were allied with the English. And instead of treating her like a prisoner of war, they saw dollar signs. They literally sold her to the English, who had every intention of destroying her. Let's be really clear about her trial. On paper, it was about heresy. But in reality, it was a political hit job. I mean, this was all about power politics. The English had a simple goal. If they could prove Joan was a witch who talked to demons, then the king she put on the throne was illegitimate. See how that works? Every single charge was designed to tear her down and, with her, the entire French cause. But even under all this pressure, this uneducated teenager was unbelievably smart and composed. They tried to trap her with a classic trick question. Are you in God's grace? If she says yes, that's heresy. If she says no, she's confessed to being a sinner. It's a lose-lose. And her answer, this incredible answer, just stunned the entire court. It was absolutely brilliant.
In the end, though, the verdict was never in doubt. They'd already decided she was guilty. After a long, grueling trial, they convicted her of relapsed heresy, mostly because she put on men's clothes again in prison. And on May 30th, 1431, in a marketplace in Rouen, Joan of Arc was burned at the stake. She was about 19.
You'd think that would be the end of the story. The English certainly did. They'd gotten rid of their problem. But her death wasn't an ending. In a way, it was just the beginning of her real legacy.
Now, it took a while, a long while. Just look at this timeline. About 25 years after she was executed, a new trial was held that completely threw out the old verdict. But it took almost 500 years for the church to officially make her a saint. From a condemned heretic to a saint. What a journey.
So, this rehabilitation trial, it wasn't just a pardon. It was a huge investigation. They talked to dozens of people who knew her, and the conclusion was crystal clear. The original trial was a total sham, rigged from the start. They officially nullified the conviction. Her name was finally, formally cleared.
Which brings us to today. Why are we still so fascinated by her? From a heretic to a national hero to a saint, what is it about her story that still has such a powerful grip on our imagination, all these centuries later?
I think it's because she's become a symbol for pretty much everyone. In France, she is France. She's the ultimate symbol of their national spirit. Politically, oh man, everybody has tried to claim her, from the French resistance fighting the Nazis all the way to modern far-right parties. For others, she's an early feminist icon who just smashed through all the rules of her time. And of course, for artists, writers, filmmakers, she's a story that never gets old.
So in the end, who was she? Was she a saint, really guided by God? Was she a military genius? Or just a powerful symbol that a desperate country needed at exactly the right moment? Her story just refuses to be put in a simple box. And you know what? Maybe that's exactly why we can't stop talking about her.